With 14 episodes behind us, the podcast is growing up fast. Now that we've turned 15, we're getting our learner's permit and finally learning how to drive this thing. What thing? Oh, you didn't know? This podcast. I'm a cat's named Ryan. He's a dog named Brian. And Podcast Heat proudly presents Oh You Didn't Know, a podcast about and starring WWE Hall of Famer Tag Team Specialist and Producer Extraordinaire, Road Dogg Brian
Oh,
James.
you didn't know? Ryan Katz, it's always good to hear your voice and good to talk to you. You always bring a smile to my face.
Thanks.
And a soil to my trousers.
Oh, you got some stains.
I don't even know. No, this is great. We're starting off friggin' great. I love it already. And I'm dead serious, by the way.
Yeah, man. Another week of feeling good. We're the masters of our own destiny, and we're
Amen.
bringing a destiny of fun.
Amen. We're going to have a good time. And we're going to go back on this episode and talk about SummerSlam 1998 in Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. And you'll get my take on it.
Look at this. You're excited today.
I am
feel
excited
it.
about this one. And actually, I did a live Q&A prior to this for Top Guy listeners, I believe is how it's said.
Yeah.
Maybe Steve can correct me in the private chat if that was incorrect, because I do want to get it correct. But we did a live Q&A for an hour. It was actually really fun. I had a great time, great group of people. So I'm jacked, I'm jazzed, and I don't even know what else rhymes with jazzed. But I think
We can go on then.
Yes,
As
please.
usual, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Blue Chew, Chili
Chew.
Sleep, RecTech, Car Shield, Save with Conrad, Goliath Life, and this week we welcome IWTV.com, your source for streaming independent wrestling.
If your packer isn't packing and you need some assistance, but you're feeling too embarrassed, so you stop with resistance, well, we got a deal for you that will help in this instance, that will get your packer pumped and packing with some persistence. Our show is here to help your horny, hungry, hardy hog. Hit a BlueChew.com, promo code DOG. Hit a BlueChew.com, promo code DOG.
Oh, man, that sounds beautiful. That was like harmony. That's like the Statler Brothers. I mean, I don't think they ever sang about,
The Smothers
horny
Brothers.
hogs. Or no, the Statler Brothers or the Oak Ridge Boys, because you were really harmonizing with yourself there. And I love the content. You know what I mean? Who doesn't? You don't love the content. Blue Chew, promo code DOG.
All right, this week we continue our look back at one of the heights of the Attitude Era, SummerSlam 1998. And when I was looking at fan response online, they seem to say this is really where the Attitude Era caught its groove. This is where momentum was picking up full steam, and this is what it pushed WWF into that next level of creating incredible content.
And it pushed us ahead in the ratings war, you know what I mean? I don't know exactly when that happened, but this is definitely the stuff that made it that way.
So we touched on some of this last week in our discussion about DX taking on the Nation. But here we're going to get in depth in the build-up to SummerSlam 98, The Highway to Hell.
Oh.
The song was played a lot.
Said hell.
It was a used song. They liked to play it a lot in the promotion. They scored the licensing rights, and they were going to use it every bit they could.
Vince McMahon is a huge AC/DC fan.
It's the summer of 98, and in the build to SummerSlam, WWF is beginning to dominate and take over WCW. Are you paying attention to WCW at this time, coming off of your invasion a few months back?
Well, we talk about that a lot. I think we were we were getting notices. Hey, like we tied them. They beat us by a little bit. We were getting updates, but I don't think we were paying attention. I think we were just running. And right now we're literally running down the highway to hell. This is the whole month or maybe 2 months leading up to that SummerSlam. Like I've mentioned before, in the Mecca in Madison Square Garden.
So you talk about, and you've always mentioned that you're not really sucked in by the drama or the politics, and you kind of just do the job. Do you remember what group of talent there was that may have been actually more into the ratings or was always talking about what the other guys are doing, or was everyone kind of just trying to do the best they can do.
I feel like we were all just running our race. And of course, it's hard for me to speak to anybody else's. I think Hunter was always one that was aware and that followed that and kept up on that. So we would get the updates from him, but he would give us the Reader's Digest version because, to be quite honest, I didn't understand how the ratings worked anyway. Now that I'm 25 years older and had been a writer on SmackDown, I still don't know how they work. But I think Hunter was, look, I'll say top guys paid attention to that kind of stuff. Yep. And I just feel like I was upper mid card, and I liked it that way. And so I kept my head in the sand kind of and just ran my race,
The build to SummerSlam begins back on June 15th from the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio on Raw's War. Kane and Mankind win a 10-team battle royal to become the #1 contenders for the Tag Team Championships. The other teams in this match were Terry Funk and Scorpio, the new Midnight Express of Bart Gunn and Bob Holly, the Headbangers, Golga and Kurgan, Skull and 8-Ball, Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor, the Legion of Doom, Taka Michinoku and Bradshaw, and Farouk and Steve Blackman. Just months before, you had worked with Mick as part of Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie, and now this is the next direction. Are you excited about going into this program with Kane and Mankind?
Yeah, for sure. But more importantly, like those last two teams you mentioned, like Farouk and Steve Blackman and
then Taka
Michinoku and Bradshaw. Like what in the world? Where did those two teams come from? But yeah, I was excited because look, though we were not the tag champs at this time, correct?
You are the tag team champs, and this is
this thing is to find out the number one contender. Correct. I apologize. So yeah, look, I knew we were going to get to work with those guys. I always was a big fan of Kane. Worked with Glenn in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Worked with him before we got to the big leagues. So knew him very well. Also had worked with Mick. So very excited about the next venture. But look, they're also hugely important top guys that we're getting to rub elbows with as a tag team. And so that, to me, we're going to get into some questions, specific questions about that on this podcast. But that, to me, elevated the tag titles, and we'll cover more of that as we go forward.
Just a few weeks later, on July 13th, the show features the return of Shawn Michaels for the first time since WrestleMania. What was it like seeing Shawn again?
Well, it's always great seeing Shawn. Look, I've developed a great relationship with Shawn that to this day is really special. And to that day was really special too, but it was just Shawn was back, you know what I mean? But anytime Shawn comes back, is he going to do anything with DX now? And if so, we know it's going to be positioned in a positive light on television. And so really it was welcoming back my friend, and also, in the immortal words of Scott Hall, welcoming back my meal ticket. And so he was a meal ticket. He was, and now we're both older men with families and stuff, and so we've developed a much deeper relationship. But it was always good to see Shawn come back. I just didn't know at this point what capacity he was coming back at.
In general, does the backstage atmosphere change when a giant star returns?
Well, especially if you're near that top tier, you're definitely going, okay, is this the one that bumps me off of TV, or is this the one that bumps me out of a cool storyline? And so it's kind of a professional jealousy, you know what I mean? Especially of a big star like Shawn. He comes back, you go like, oh, okay, what are we going to do here? But I knew as long as he was quasi-associated with DX, or at least on their side, that everything was going to be okay,
That show from East Rutherford would see Kane and Mankind defeat you for the tag team championship.
They cheated.
When D'Lo Brown interferes and cost you guys the titles.
Told you.
Did you know you were going to be getting the tag team titles back at some point, or did you think that the run was over?
No. Look, I knew, or I thought we were going to get them back. That was for sure. And like I said earlier, running them around with because you're going to see here in a minute, I think Stone Cold and Undertaker win them, and holy mackerel, that just elevated some tag titles. And then they come back around, and of course we end up getting them back at this pay-per-view we're talking about, SummerSlam. So I think I answered that. I'm sorry. I want to say I got lost, but I feel like I answered the
No, you
question.
did. So does your pay change when you stop being a champion? So meaning you're still in the same level of the card. You're still
Yeah,
doing rematches.
So no, ours did not. And I'll tell you what the deal is. Look, you're in there just like the titles are in there mingling with those top guys. So were the former tag champs, me and Billy Gunn. We're in the ring with all of these very top tier guys. So that really marked us as that kind of talent. And so then when we got the tag team titles back, I feel like they'd actually been elevated, and now they're back on a proper tag team. Well, we were two individual guys that were put together, but we were being built as a proper tag team.
All right, well, talking about money, let's take the first of our breaks so we could support our sponsors, and hopefully you all could use some of your own hard-earned money to support our sponsors, too. And did I say hard? Well, we must be talking about Blue Chew. Doon, doon, doon. If you've been listening and you've been hesitant, don't be embarrassed. Turn up the heat in your love life and take advantage of this offer now. Confidence can take you far in life, and Blue Chew can help build your confidence in the bedroom to pack that extra punch of pumped up power. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever it's go time for the gonads. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. So no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. Get off the couch and get to work in the bedroom. Because if your tool needs an upgrade, head to BlueChew.com. Women say there's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you confidence where it counts. So if you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, Blue Chew can help, and we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code DOG at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code DOG, D-O-G-G, to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast.
All right.
You were grooving today, man. You were in the zone.
I was. I felt good. I relieved myself all over me. I'm just sitting in it.
Yeah. In all seriousness, use the service. Nobody has to know why it grows as long as it does and does the job.
Long as it does.
Check this one. You're going to marinate your man meat and treat your significant other to a rigid ride, courtesy of our friends at Blue Chew. Promo code DOG.
D-O-G-G.
Bringing it back to the build-up.
Bringing it back to the build-up of SummerSlam 98.
Steve Austin and Undertaker win the tag team titles from Kane and Mankind in the main event of Fully Loaded. Do you think that changes your direction?
No, at the time, like I mentioned earlier, like we were rubbing elbows with all of those guys. Yep. The Outlaws were. Hunter was working with The Rock at this time, and we were kind of finishing up that Nation run, and now on to bigger and better things. And when I say bigger and better things, like literally, like, okay, we're not working with Mark Henry and D'Lo anymore. And no disrespect to those guys, because they're both Hall of Famers in my mind. Mm-hmm. But we're now working with Stone Cold, with the Dead Man, with the Kane, with all of them. And it's like, holy mackerel, do we fit here? And we kind of did. And so that was very cool for us to get those. I think it was rubs from those really top stars that kind of made people look at us in that light too. So I thought it was a huge benefit for us to be rubbing elbows with those guys.
You brought up that Austin and Undertaker elevated the status of the titles. Generally speaking, what's your opinion of two guys who aren't a regular tag team holding tag team titles? As a tag team wrestler, what's your opinion?
Well, look, I think you can frown upon that all you want to, and I understand that line of thinking. However, it was Stone Cold and The Undertaker. You know what I mean? Like, I started questioning that reading through the notes, and I thought, if you think putting the tag titles on Stone Cold and The Undertaker in 98 in the top of the, you know what I mean? If you think that diminishes the titles in any way, in the immortal words of Judas Priest, you got another thing coming.
But not diminishing the titles, but does it diminish the other teams in the division when those top guys are running through every tag team? And in that point in those matches, they're kind of dominating at that point in those tag team matches.
For sure.
Does it make everyone else from an audience perspective look at the rest of the division as inferior to those significant players?
But maybe. And look, that's like I said earlier, I totally understand that line of thinking. I just think, like, man, it elevated me and Billy to be in that spot. They didn't have the titles long, so they didn't run through everybody. They didn't dominate everybody. They just had the titles for a minute, and then they lost them again, and then we gained them, like I mentioned earlier, at the SummerSlam we're talking about. So I actually thought it was moving the titles around in there, shaking some things up. I know it was against conventional wisdom. You leave the titles on people for, well, this was like all shaking things up, and after this pay-per-view, we landed in, okay, this is where we're supposed to be now. And then we could start as tag team champions working with those other teams, you know.
So let's talk about this match. It's Raw from Anaheim. Undertaker and Austin beat the Outlaws in a good match, 8 minutes, 10 seconds, when Austin pinned Road Dogg after a stunner. People were throwing beach balls like crazy into the ring. Austin punts one of them for a huge pop. Austin chokeslam Billy after the match, grabs a beer from a cooler, begins drinking it, throws one to the Undertaker, apparently as an apology, and Undertaker started drinking it. Show goes off the air with Mankind and Kane attacking Undertaker and Austin. So what's it like to work in the main event of Raw with Taker and Austin? I know you play off the cool, nonchalant vibe of, I'm just doing my job, but it's a big deal to you, right?
Yeah, it's a huge deal. But like I said, like, we've been doing it with these guys. We've been rubbing elbows with these guys. And whether it was at the end of the night, DX came down and sold stunners and choke slams for everybody or whatever, rock bottoms, whatever the case may be, like, we were working with these guys. So yes, it was a big deal to me. I'd love to say it was as big a deal then as it is to me now, but it wasn't, because I wasn't appreciative. You know what I mean? And that's not. Look, I think there's probably a lot of people that would go back and say, man, I wish I would have appreciated the early years of my career more. You know what I mean? Like, stuff started happening, and all of a sudden you're caught up on this wave, and you just ride it till you hit the shore. You know what I mean? And I hit shore before I wanted to.
Let's put some perspective on how big of a deal this is. You guys are going against a main event on Nitro of Diamond Dallas Page versus Hollywood Hogan. Earlier in the night, WCW aired a tag team main event from Bash at the Beach, and it drew a 6.51 rating, which meant it was watched by just under 5 million viewers. But later that night, WCW loses most of that audience as they then tune in for your match. You guys defeat DDP vs. Hogan with a 5.95 quarter hour against Nitro's 4.38. And after Nitro ends, the rating grows even more to a 6.82 in the overrun. That night set a new record of combined viewership with a 9.58 rating, 15.6 share, and just over 7 million homes watching. This is a big feather in your cap. You guys put, I mean, just reading those numbers and looking at the perspective of numbers now, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. It is mind-blowing now. But again, and I say this, I scream this from the mountaintops, man. I think the Nielsen ratings are archaic. I think they were for when it was network television, and I think people don't watch TV like that anymore. I think the number is more impressive of today's television show if you see what all they have to watch and what all people are doing. And then if you get that DVR 3 weeks after the live, the next day ratings aren't so bad now. They're doing all right. Like I said before, huge thing like you talked about for the Attitude Era. But I think for now, I think people gotta go easy on the ratings. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, I understand the perspectives change. Niche audiences have made the viewership smaller across the board for all industries, but it is curious if there is a mega event that could still attract the people. The Super Bowl still draws the people in. The Olympics were down this year, didn't do the same type of thing. It's interesting if the people can come back to a mega must-see spectacular.
Well, and look, the truth be told, they do every April. You know what I mean? They are selling out stadiums left and right, and so they still come out to see the spectacle. But look, as far as the television program is concerned and television ratings are concerned, Blood and Guts a couple weeks back, AEW, not A&W, not the root beer, but I do love a good root beer.
I'm a fan of some root beer too.
I love what was that one root beer, like a...
I'm a fan of Frosty. It's a brand.
It looked like a beer bottle. IBC.
Oh, yeah.
IBC root beer.
That's my mother-in-law's favorite.
Is it really? I used to drink it on the way to high school so people would think I was drinking a beer. Because not only was I stupid, but I was stupid too. Anyway, what was the question?
We're in the numbers and the analytics still.
Yes,
so some of these
the
shows
numbers.
and houses you're working at this point are insane.
Yeah.
14,688 at the Sky Dome, 11,209 at the Molson Center, 16,733 at the Kemper Arena, 16,780 at the Rosemont Horizon. Money has to be good at this time. I'm going to just push you on the money right now because these are just big numbers.
Money was good. Money was very good, especially because we were rubbing elbows with those top tier talent, and so
I'm going to press. So couple $100,000 a year good or $500,000 a year good at this top phase?
No, $2 million a year.
Holy goodness gracious!
and
That's some
that
good money.
Yeah, and that wasn't. Look, I'm proud that I made that money. I wish I still had any of it because everybody who listens to this knows why I don't. But I love the fact that was, I did that and that was cool. I wish I would have been smarter about it and done something, made it work for me a little bit so that I wouldn't be worried now about, how to keep the lights on.
Do you remember the biggest single check you ever got for an event?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it was like 169 grand.
What a feeling to go to your bank and I got to put in perspective to say years worth of most people's salaries and they'd be like, this is my check for the week.
So I this goes to show you how financially illiterate I am. I bought a Cadillac Escalade with a pay-per-view check. I went and bought an Escalade off the showroom floor, the new Escalade. Oh, no, I'm sorry. My wife bought an Escalade. I bought the Lincoln Navigator. Let me get this straight. She had an Escalade. I had the Navigator. Navigator's like a big fat man's special car, like Cosa Nostra, So I love that. So I sold that truck and turned it in, I sold that SUV back to the company and bought a new truck and got like big tires on it. But they put that Navigator back out on the, how some car lots like have a rock pile with like a car on top of it out front. Like they put the Navigator like out there. So every time I drove to the airport, I would see my old Navigator sitting up there. So I literally pulled back through and rebought it again. And so I ended up paying about $106,000 for the same Navigator.
Wow.
But it was, it just goes to show I didn't know. I didn't know it was going to end. I didn't know it was going to, and they just kept coming. And like, it was like, woohoo. And then they stopped one day.
Things are heating up as we talk about cool cash, which is a perfect time to talk about staying cool in your bed with Chili Sleep. If you sleep hot, Chili Sleep is perfect for you, and this special offer will help you sleep better and wake up more refreshed. Science tells us that the best way to achieve and maintain consistent deep sleep is by lowering core body temperature. Temperature-controlled sleep repairs muscles after a hard day's work and improves cognitive function, so you always start your day feeling sharp and alert. Chili Sleep makes customizable, climate-controlled sleep solutions that help you improve your entire well-being. Chili Sleep makes the Uller and Cube sleep systems hydro-powered, temperature-controlled mattress toppers that fit over your existing mattress to provide your ideal sleep temperature. These luxury mattress pads keep your bed at the perfect temperature for deep sleep, whether you sleep hot or cold. These sleep systems are designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and give you the confidence and energy to power through your day. Imagine waking up and not feeling tired? Chili Sleep can help make that happen, and for an extra layer of comfort, they also make the Chili Blanket, the only weighted blanket that can also be paired with a control unit for the ultimate sweat-free sleep. So I've been using this for weeks now, and I've been speaking its praises as I am sleeping noticeably better.
Amen.
But the other night, apparently, this is good, I had a night terror, my wife tells me, as my wife wakes me and says I was yelling and screaming in my bed. She's like, she's like, you're just like, she's like, I don't know if you're having a sex dream or you're scared, but I had to wake you up. She said I was hot and sweaty, and she asked me if the Chili Sleep was on, and for whatever the reason was, it wasn't. I accidentally knocked the plug out of the outlet.
Oh.
So I powered it back on. It did its thing.
It cools off quick, too.
Yeah, and I slept great the rest of the night. My dad's been complaining about sleeping too hot, so I'm thinking I may have to order one for his birthday, and I'm going to save a little coin with this special offer. Head over to chilisleep.com/dog to learn more and save 30% off the purchase of any new Cube or Uller sleep system. This offer is available exclusively for You Didn't Know It Road Dog listeners, and only for a limited time. That's Chili, CHILI, sleep.com/dog, DOGG, to take advantage of our exclusive discount and wake up refreshed every day. chilisleep.com/dog.
Chili Sleep.
It's the best, man. One of my favorite products right now.
It is. Look, the minute I found out I could set it on my phone. And like at 5:30, it starts warming up. And so it like literally wakes me up like, I'm starting to get... You know what I mean?
I just can't believe how soundly I sleep. I used to toss, turn, pull, I used to not sleep with the same blanket as my wife. I just keep a separate sheet so I could wrap myself and not tug and all that. And now
don't touch me, honey.
I just sleep clean. I wake up, I like pull the corner of the sheet. I was like, bed's made. I'm good.
Yeah, it's awesome. And look, a little side story. I love the cooling, the machine that cools the water on this one that I have, the Chili Sleep that I have. It's like makes a small humming noise, and it reminds me of, you remember Joe C, that was the hype man for Kid Rock?
Yep.
Like he stayed in our hotel room with us a lot, me and X-Pac, and bless his heart, he had to have a feeding tube, and at night he would turn it on, and I swear it reminds me of sleeping in the hotel room with Joe C, and I always slept so good because it sounds like a humidifier, you know what I mean?
And if you didn't know, on the app, there's actually 3 different modes there, so you can run a quiet mode, the normal mode, and a booster mode kind of
I like for it to make a little sound. It puts me right to sleep.
All right, let's bring it back to some wrestling. And the next week, Raw comes from San Diego, and it's a taped episode. Was there any difference between going live and being taped for you, or it didn't matter?
So it didn't matter for us performing, but we did know if we bought something bad, we could do it again if you give them a strong edit point. You know what I mean? And so Scott Hall, look, we were good at that time. Scott was the best at it. That would literally just look at the camera and go, take 2, and do it again. You know, and if you give a good edit point, you'd never tell that. So we tried to nail it every time. So we weren't really resting on our laurels with, we can correct it if we mess it up. No, you get it right the first time, we won't have to correct it, you know. And so we were always kind of running and gunning under that line of thinking.
Fast forward to the future and the COVID era of NXT tapings. What did you think of the no audience moments where we would stop down, reset, bring back the footage, and try to make that happen? It was wild.
It was very difficult. And truth be told, now that you look back and you see where they're at now, we probably didn't have to do any of that. It was probably okay to make some mistakes, but it was very difficult because we would have to look back and get the talent in the same. No, man, you do it breaks the flow of everything, and you can tell when you're watching, like there's just different energies. I don't know. I don't like that part. I didn't like doing that.
All right, in San Diego, Kane and Mankind defeat you and Billy with a double team behind the referee's back.
Cheaters, pumpkin eaters.
Is it weird working as baby faces compared to heels in these matches?
Yeah, look, I thought about this a little bit earlier too. You know, these guys are huge stars, and they're baby faces too. So we're trying to do the best we can. But I do think at some point you just are thankful to see that many top stars in the ring at one time. And excuse me, I'll say that like today, you know, you wouldn't have those people rubbing up elbows today because you just don't have the bandwidth, I guess. I don't know how to articulate that, but you wouldn't have Undertaker and Stone Cold. They would each have their own segment. You know what I mean? Like, no, they're not bumping up against each other. And on this show, literally the 8 top guys are all wrestling for the tag titles and fighting each other and stuff. And so I thought it was very cool. I thought it elevated, like I said earlier, the tag titles and elevated the New Age Outlaws.
In the main event, it was considered a real good match. Undertaker and Austin beat Maivia and Hart when Undertaker tombstoned Hart in 11 minutes, 12 seconds. Mankind and Kane ran in. Kane grabbed a chair and Taker moved, so Kane clocked Mankind with the chair. Undertaker got the chair and also hit Mankind, and then the Outlaws showed up at the end as well.
Why is everybody hitting Mankind?
These are 8 of the top stars in the business involved, but did you ever have a feeling like you weren't actually being a part of the focus?
No, I did not feel that way. For one thing, and look, I know we joke about it a little bit on here, but I was just doing the job, and I was having a blast, and I was making a ton of money, and this was my dream coming true. And so I didn't really think about, are they not focusing on me? Because I was in the main event of Raws. I was going to SummerSlam and a tag title match. You know what I mean? I was being utilized in the best way possible because there's not a whole lot of room at the top of the mountain, but there's a lot of room on the sides of it. You know what I mean? And so that's where we were near the top, but we weren't there. You know what I mean? So I was not thinking about, they're not focusing on me. And when I read that, I think maybe that's top guy mentality, but I want to pop that guy in the lips. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think that way, man. Just, I don't know. Sorry.
All right, this leads to a 4-way on August 10th on Raw in Omaha. From Dirty Dave, the Dirt Digging Observer, they were doing...
$9 says he just buries the crap out of us the whole time.
They were doing ring intros for the Four Corners match when Ken Shamrock ran in and put the ankle lock on Owen Hart, while DX kept Rocky Maivia from helping. D'Lo Brown ended up subbing for Hart in the Four Corners with Mankind and Kane. New Age Outlaws and Austin and Undertaker with the tag belts at stake. There are more illogical matches, as with the first team to score a pin wins rules. Strategically, it makes no sense. So now he starts bearing the logic that's going on. It went 14:30 and was pretty good, especially when Austin was in, but slowed toward the end because Undertaker looked pretty bad. Finish saw Kane pin Undertaker after one choke slam, so Mankind and Kane got the belts, and then Undertaker popped up as if he wasn't hurt, making it look like he laid down for his brother to screw Austin out of the tag title. This becomes an interesting finish, and Meltzer does point out how illogical it could be with a 4-way tag match with one fall match and tags. Did you find there's a hole in that psychology that, like, when so many teams are involved, that there's no incentive to bring other teams into the match?
Yeah, well, look, if you're going to get into the psychology of or the the logic of professional wrestling, I think you're already walking down a road to nowhere, because when you shoot me off, guess what? I'll just come running back to you. So there's, you said it earlier, we are the masters of our own destiny. We can do whatever we want to. We literally did, and I don't remember when it was, but we did the outlaw finish where Billy pinned me. And either we did it for a false finish or we did it for the finish of the match.
And then there was actually a stipulation in this match that stated that partners
couldn't do that,
pin
right?
each other.
Right? Well, so look, that's how we're playing with logic here. But I also think if you're in that match and the tag titles are on the line, why would you tag anybody else in anyway? You know what I mean? That's what I kept thinking about Uncle Dave's psychology is, why would I tag Kane in if I'm going to win the, and maybe if we talked about it long enough, I'd see his side of the argument, and maybe he'd see mine, but I don't know. I just look at the glass half full when it comes to pro wrestling. It can be fun. It can be creative. You make your own rules. You do whatever you want. And so that's what we did. And I thought it was great that I got to rub elbows again with those guys in the main event of a Raw. You know what I mean?
On the road, you're working D'Lo in singles matches. Then at the Nassau Coliseum on August 21st, it's DX, Hunter, Pac, you and Billy, taking on the Nation in a steel cage match. Was this where you started seeing how good The Rock was?
So, not here. Not in this match per se. I had been seeing how good The Rock was on a weekly basis. And I was watching him grow and watching him become a student of the game and start sitting with Pat Patterson more. He took it very seriously. And so, look where he's at today. You know what I mean? But he did. I saw him. We watched him grow. And again, where I was at, that made me even more jealous of him, because now he's looks good, can cut a great promo, can work, and he's taking this crap seriously.
Dog, thoughts on steel cage matches from competing in them and then also as a fan of watching them? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I'm wondering at this point which cage it was. If it was a
blue or
if it was a blue one or if it was a different cage. Look, I'm a fan of cage matches. Some of my favorite ones are like with the horrible cages, like Buzz Sawyer and Tommy Rich in Atlanta, and like just the cages are, you know what I mean? They're just like 8 feet tall, dog fences around the yard. Even some dusty stuff with Tully, but just cruddy looking cages that they put together, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I love a good cage match, man. And if you for a television standpoint, if you can get good camera shots, which they always cut holes for cameras and stuff in the WWE cages, I think you can have a good TV cage match as well.
And what do you think of the blue iron cage for the Hogan Bundy?
Oh man, it hurt so bad. Like it just every time they ran you into it, it was like running into a jail cell door.
You know, steel.
It was just very unforgiving. But I mean, I don't know. I just love working in the chain link because it gives a little bit. You can hit it hard. You can bounce off of it. It throws you backwards a little bit. So. Yeah. I'm a good chain link fence guy.
I was fortunate to compete in a War Games style match in my career, and I loved it. It was so much fun.
Really? Did you get color?
I got color.
On your forehead or where?
I had color on the forehead. I ended up jumping off the top of a 22-foot cage onto opponent and some security after tossing my opponent off the cage. And
you tossed your opponent off?
UK style, baby.
You eat pieces of crap for breakfast?
He didn't even need a Blue Chew. All right. Raw, 8/24/98 from Philadelphia. New Age Outlaws beat Southern Justice in 3:16 when Billy Gunn pile drove Dennis Knight and Road Dogg scored the pin. Hawk was at ringside doing commentary, pretending to be stoned. He says to Lawler, "Remember that time in the Mid-South Coliseum when you told me not to sell your pile driver and how it got over?" And then eventually Hawk just collapses and falls asleep.
Remember the Chris Farley, like, oh man, was so cool. Remember when you we were in Memphis South Coliseum and I wrestled you? Man, that was cool.
Jarrett comes out in his socks complaining about X-Pac and then starts shaving the head of one of the cameramen. There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on here, but that was the Attitude Era. Like Jeff Jarrett came out in his socks and then
Crash
shaved a
TV,
man's head.
wild segments.
Yeah, there was a guy passed out on commentary. Oh, Lord.
First off, working with Southern Justice, Dennis
Yeah.
Knight and Mark Canterbury. What are your favorite memories with them?
Everything. Like I literally lived with those guys for a while in Atlanta. Lived with Tex Midian,
Yeah.
or
Naked Midian.
Naked Midian in Nashville when we worked for Memphis. So really, just seeing those two guys too for the first time in a while at a convention not long ago. Some of my best friends in the world. Loved working with them. Worked with them like you do with your good friends, really aggressive and really rugged,
Yep.
and so everything always came out all right. But so yeah, we had a great time working with those guys, and I love them both. One time we were traveling together, and I was asleep in the front seat, and they kept telling me to check the map, and it was in the glove box, and I kept thinking like, what? Jeff was driving, Southern Justice in the back seat. So I'm asleep and I'm passed out, not asleep. But they go, okay, and I'm thinking we're in Degum, Tampa. Like Tex Midian, Naked Midian is from Tampa. Like, why do we need a map? When I opened the glove box, all my braids were in there. I passed out and they cut all my braids off and put them in there. And I was so mad that I just started laughing and we like drank some more or something.
Those wrestling ribs.
Yeah, it was all in good fun. Those guys were great guys.
Let's talk the Hawk storyline part of that. Looking
Yeah.
back at addiction and everything now, thoughts on the storyline?
Well, look, right, wrong, or indifferent, I think the idea behind it was a similar idea that they asked me to do a few years prior to this. They wanted to document, around this time, or it may have been prior to this, but around the 90s, is when Brett Favre kind of said, hey, I'm taking Vicodin, and he kind of went through a very public thing. And so they had come to me and said, look, we're going to send you to rehab, for the 30th time. We'd like to document it. And I was like, you can't do that. I got kids. I didn't realize my kids were, watching me screw up every day. But so they were always been trying to do that. And I think it was for the right reasons. I think it was in order to have kind of a storyline that was a PSA also about drinking and drugging, and there is a way out of that hole. And you know what I mean? Like, you can get help. There's help for you out there, and I think that's what they were trying to show. Yeah. I just don't know if we went about it the right way. I don't know if if they were going to do it full force and let him. I don't know. Looking back, I don't think they handled it the correct way with Hawk. But I do believe there's a way to do that. And I think they handled it recently with Jeff Hardy the wrong way too. WWE did. They kind of messed with his drinking and stuff rather than talk about how to support him and how to help somebody like that. You know what I mean? So
I was going to say, having had your experiences, does that make you hesitant to run personal, heavy, or deep angles? Or do you feel wrestling is meant for that edgy, gritty, raw realness, and that personal demons and addictions add to the emotion of the story and connection to the audience?
Yeah. No, look, I agree with you 100%. I think people can relate. You know what I mean? I being one of them. I think people can relate. So, but the tricky part is, my concern is, how do you outweigh the positive? You outweigh with the positive rather than the negative. And so how do you can have the heel go, you're an alky or whatever, but you got to see the guy overcoming his demons and being successful and doing all that.
Right.
And I guess Jeff, to my earlier point, Jeff Hardy did that in his WWE story. And so, kudos for that. I just think it's tricky. You know what I mean? It's like we always talked about, hey, let's have Rusev burn an American flag. And everybody was like, oh, you couldn't do that. And I was one of them. I was one of the first people, you can't do that. Well, then I started writing for the television show and started thinking, hey, this is a television show.
And
You know what I mean? Like on Law and Order, they burn an American flag. Now, believe you me, I will fight a man who tries to burn the American flag in front of me. And that's all there is to it. But here, it was like, man, it may be real heat to have, John Cena tied up and him burn an American flag in front of John Cena, and then you go to the big flag match at Mania or whatever. So there's a fine line because we're real and we're not real.
Yeah.
And where does that leave you? You know what I mean?
Now, I always talk to the talent about that when talking about their characters. And when they were doing media interviews, there would always be, are you in character, out of character? And it's like, you're always in character.
Yeah.
But you have to find the balance of what the out of character version of in character is.
Well, and that's you hit the nail on the head. The problem with today, not with today's talent, with a lot of talent, couldn't do that. You know what I mean? And couldn't find that comfortable spot where they could maintain their character in a real life situation or scenario, and kind of still be the real person and the road dog or the Rock or whatever. And so I think some people can do that and some people can't. You know what I mean?
Was it fun being involved with Jeff again?
Yeah, look, it's always been fun. It's always fun being involved with Jeff. I just love Jeff Jarrett. He's always had my back. A couple people have had my back in this industry, and he's one of them. And so it was always a great time when I get to work with Jeff. And look, Jeff, now that people are getting to know him via his podcast, people are becoming fans of Jeff Jarrett, and that's Jeff Jarrett, the person. Everybody hated Jeff Jarrett, the Intercontinental Champion, and that cheater, the roadie. But like that's what you realize why I love Jeff so much when you get to know him.
All right, we're getting closer to SummerSlam, and the conversation will continue. But first, let us talk to you about our friends at CarShield, because this episode is brought to you by CarShield, who makes it easy and affordable to protect our cars from expensive repairs, and that's just for starters. CarShield is the #1 auto protection company in the U.S. and offers protection plans for around $100 a month. The plans cover more parts than ever before, whether your car has 5,000 miles or 150,000 miles. Man, I wish I would have had CarShield a month ago because I just got done paying more than $2,500 in maintenance and repairs. But my loss is your gain because now we know and we could pass some savings on to you. So let me tell you how simple it is to get your car fixed with CarShield. If and when you need a repair, you choose the mechanic, and CarShield's administrators handle the rest. That's it. You don't have to deal with the paperwork or headaches. You're taken care of.
Amen.
Same goes for if your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, because plans through CarShield also include coast to coast, Shane McMahon style, coast to coast roadside assistance.
Amen.
CarShield administrators are there for you with rental car options and trip reimbursement at no extra cost. Get coverage today, and you'll lock in your price now, and it will never go up. That means as long as you own your car, no matter how old it is, you're protected from the rising cost of parts and repairs for your vehicle. CarShield helps protect mine and Dog's wallet from expensive car repairs, and they'll do the same for you. Go to carshield.com/podcast to start your plan and lock in your pricing forever. That's carshield.com/podcast, and a deductible may apply.
It may apply. You know what? To be quite honest, a friend of my wife's has CarShield, was down for it was a couple weeks back for July the 4th. Driving back home to Memphis, she has CarShield. And she had a flat tire on the side of the road. And talk about that coast-to-coast roadside assistance. They saved the day, man, and she ended up making it home. She was about an hour is all she had to stop with a flat tire, and she got back on the road, and they took care of her, like the promo says. So CarShield.
If you listeners support CarShield, then maybe it could become Road Dog side assistance.
Oh,
and, you stop and change the tire for them.
I will not do that because I'll probably change the wrong one, to be quite honest. So this was the one you want to change? No, I will gladly help you change a tire.
We're back on Oh You Didn't Know, and we're talking the build to SummerSlam 98. This is the go-home Raw for SummerSlam, and not a lot has been built for you and Billy taking on Kane and Mankind.
Yep.
In fact, Kane is taking on Mankind in a Hell in a Cell match on this show.
Yep.
Do you think this hurt your standing on one of the biggest shows of the year?
Look, I don't think it did. I think it was they were telling another story, and this was a subplot of that other story. And so, I just don't look at it as a slight or a negative. I look at it as we got the tag titles back after this, and it helped tell the other story. Right. And so I think if we can do that and win the tag titles back, we walk out of SummerSlam the new whatever second, third time champs, and so I don't think that's a negative at all. You know what I mean?
And talking about subplots, it's something we bring up often as it comes to the modern era of wrestling creative and storytelling, that I think as fans we want to see more subplots. We want to see more sub-stories and intertwining.
Well, I agree.
Characters.
And like I mentioned earlier, I don't feel like now, you can't rub these big guys up against each other. You got to keep them apart so that they can each have their own standalone, and nobody looks bad, and nobody, you know what I mean? Like, hey, they beat the Undertaker in that match. Whether he popped up and it was a no-sold, whether it was a weird finish, whatever. He's the Undertaker.
Yep.
You beat him. You just can't kill him. So he got beat. The titles went back to them. He sat back up, and here we go to tell our stories again. Now the titles are on those Mick and Glenn, and here they're in their fight. They're going to have this Hell in a Cell or whatever they were going to have, Boiler Room Brawl or whatever. And so then it leads to our handicap match, which we'll get into shortly.
Yeah, did you know at this point the plan was going to be for it to become a handicap match?
So yeah, we did know that. And look, to be quite honest, we were happy because Mick does some great stuff, and we knew that he could do some stuff that would make you sell, so that it would be believable that he's fighting back and holding his own against two guys,
All right, we're here now. SummerSlam, August 30th, 1998, Madison Square Garden. What's it like working a pay-per-view at the biggest, most famous stadium of all time? And I'm going to say, I know you've mentioned MSG didn't have the meaning for you that it does for others, but is there anything to it being SummerSlam in the Garden?
Oh, yeah. Look, working in the Garden, I don't mean to sell it short because it is.
No, just straight up say it. You don't like New York and New Yorkers.
Yeah,
just say it.
yeah. Okay. No. But speaking of New York, getting to the Garden and working and getting out of there and all of that is a huge pain in the rear end. And so that becomes part of it. And no, it's not New Yorkers or New York even, but that area where that is holy mackerel, man. There's so many people and it's so hard to get in and out that when you get in there, like, okay, thank God I'm in here. I could wrestle now, but then you got to get out again. And man, people would line that exit way and just beat on your car. And I don't know. It was just not a great experience to go there. It was a great experience to wrestle there. If that makes sense, or if I can leave it at that. It was just really inconvenient getting in and out of that place.
On Sunday Night Heat, a show-long storyline begins with Jeff Jarrett and Southern Justice shaving Howard Finkel's hair and mustache to build to the pay-per-view. Why did it feel like at that time the Fink was becoming the butt of a lot of jokes?
Because he was. And look, I think it was all in fun because Vince took very good care of him and did to the end. Fink was a great guy, and we'll get into some stories here and what I loved about Fink. But yeah, they took some liberties with Fink. He would buy a new car and they would smash in the window or something. But they would always pay for a new windshield, he bought him a new car one time. You know what I mean? Like Vince took care of Fink because Fink came up with WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like that was Fink's. So he was very good at his job, and everybody knew it. But he also took things very seriously, so everybody kind of poked at him a little bit. And that's I think it was out of love because of the way he was taken care of.
So when it comes to the ribbing, the jokes, the teasing, is it a situation that It happens to you more if you react to
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. If you sell, if you sell, it's on. And Fink didn't sell. Fink was he was a pro. You know what I mean? Like he would do whatever's asked of him, and then okay, have your fun. But he would do it, and I don't know. Yeah, it was just it was all in fun, man. It sounds horrible when I say it, and I even feel bad. But like he ribbed me too. You know what I mean? Like it was all in fun. There was back and forth ribbing going on. So.
He put a little salt in your soda or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. He peed in my anyway.
All right. On the show after, X-Pac defeats Jarrett in a hair versus hair match. You and Billy run out to chase Southern Justice away, and you're in the ring when the electric shears stopped. When something like that happens, what's your reaction? Like,
Well, especially if it was, I don't know that it was live. It sounds like this was a. Or no, you said this was a Raw again?
no, this is actually I think on the pay-per-view. We're in Sunday Night Heat is what we were talking about.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
on the
When they
show
came
after,
down
yeah.
to shave his head or whatever.
Yeah.
So, what was the question again, Ryan? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So you're there to shave his head, and then
Oh,
the
and the
power
thing
goes
stops.
out. They stop.
Yeah, look. So I can tell
I
you
know
this
I'm
much.
a panicky guy.
Yeah.
And I would flop sweat. You would see my facial expression immediately change.
Yeah. Well, I would look. The first thing I would do is immediately, and I don't know what we did, but I would immediately look at somebody and say, "Get us some scissors." You know what I mean? And we're gonna cut this guy's hair. And if it was live, then we might not have had that opportunity. Right. We might have had to have him fight away. Go for the Clippers. Look, I know when we recently did this at NXT with who was the two talents we did the hair thing
Duke Hudson.
with? Duke Hudson and Cameron Grimes.
Yep.
We made sure that those things were charged and plugged in, and
backup
we
pairs.
had an extra pair sitting there. I mean, it's things that go wrong, and you go like, oh, it's live TV. What are you going to do? But yeah, looking back, the first thing I would say is get me some scissors. And if it took too long, I'd just have him fight and get away,
I was backstage at TNA when Father James Mitchell shaved Raven's head in the Clippers, but he wasn't using the Clippers right. And he was like gouging Raven's scalp, chopping him up, cutting him up, and Raven walks into the back. I think Father James went to put out the handshake like with the thank you, and Raven just punches him in the face. It was wild. He was angry.
I guess he punched him and Father Mitchell's eyebrows went that way. So,
all right. Did you think Jeff needed to cut the hair and get a makeover to give him the next phase of his career?
Yeah, I think he did. Whether he wanted to or not, I thought it was actually great too, because then he got the high and tight, the flat top, and him and Owen became a team, and the rest is history. So I think he did need a makeover. He had come back, and he was still, Double J and all that. I think he did need a makeover at the time.
In a moment, we're going to watch this match at SummerSlam, but before we do, Dog, I'm going to let you tell our listeners about RecTech and their wood pellet grills.
Time to tell you about RecTech, an amazing company that offers wood pellet grills fueled by all-natural hardwood pellets, along with other outdoor lifestyle products such as coolers, apparel, grill accessories, and more. Look, with grills ranging from $399 to $3,000, RecTech has grills for every lifestyle and every budget, with a key focus on flavor, convenience, and versatility. Their factory direct pricing eliminates the middleman, and all grills ship free. Plus, all RecTech pellet grills are made with high-quality stainless steel and are built to last a lifetime. The RT700 comes with a 40-pound pellet hopper, 702 square inches of cooking space, the PID Wi-Fi controller, and a 6-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. You can bake, smoke, sear, grill, and even dehydrate on the grill, all with the push of a button. And that's why those in the know choose RecTech. So it's time to toss that tasteless gas grill, messy charcoal grill, or even that overhyped brand name grill aside and join an elite wood pellet grilling family. By focusing on flavor, convenience, and versatility, RecTech sets the new standard in grilling. Visit rectech.com. That's RecTeq.com. Use the code BJames to get 5% off site-wide. That's 5% off their top-notch wood pellet grills, one-of-a-kind RecTech icer coolers, chef-tested rubs and sauces, accessories, merchandise, everything at 5% off. That's rectech.com and use the code BJames.
We're back on Oh You Didn't Know, and today's topic has been the Build 2 and now SummerSlam 1998.
I'm excited.
Talk to us about putting together a handicap match with Mick Foley. What's it like?
Well, I touched on that briefly earlier. He's a believable guy that, look, me and Billy were young and hungry, and we were working as such. And I say that a lot, but if you go back and watch the stuff, like we brought it, Mick brought it too. And so we knew he's the one guy that could get away with, look, Terry could have done it too. But Mick's the guy that could get away with beating up two guys in a believable fashion, especially when, the matches are hardcore or loose rules. And this one definitely was. We beat the fire out of each other.
Loose rules, kind of like a loose meat sandwich. Let's roll the footage.
And who doesn't love a good...
You jump in there and help Mankind if you choose. Oh, hey, what about you? I remember when he used to pal around with you. Why don't you go up there and smarten him up? Tell him what
Mankind always pulling his own hair out like a crazy man.
Your ass better call somebody.
Very short entranceway.
At the Garden.
Uh-oh, look at this. New York City. As you can see, we're going to take it back and kick ass. Old school. New age outlaw style. With the diggity diz style.
Oh! Ow.
Cookie sheet to the head by Foley onto both you and Billy, dropping you. You go out to the outside to go find some weapons.
Yeah, we had another spot, so I had to go get this.
Controversial things, but
So you brought up the
God.
short entrance. It's something actually I don't like as a spectator with the Garden is especially back in this era. It was the emergence of sets and set design, and when you had the Garden, you never had any type
Yeah,
of
you couldn't
elaborate
have any
set.
sets like that. I don't know what we're
Foley
doing
holding
now.
the chair, Dog reaching over from the back to distract Foley as Billy comes in, and now we got a double team. Classic double team.
Yeah, we were just stomping a mud hole in him and walking it dry, moonwalking it dry. But I'm about to just go get some weapons from the dumpster, and then I'm just going to hit people really hard with them.
So that's the sheet that you brought up a couple of weeks ago. Your favorite weapon to use, the full cookie sheet style. Is that the style you like?
Yes, this one right here, and look, it's an industrial style sheet that you would imagine. Oh.
And the
Oh.
hands all the way to the side.
Oh.
I feel like he caught an edge on that one.
Yeah, he did. I was trying to not kill him, and I think I hurt him worse.
You like swinging chairs at people? Or does
I
it
do.
put a lot of-
I love getting them swung at me too. That's a weird thing to say, but I'm trying to read what our shirts say. This was still while we were still doing some South Park stuff, and on the back we have something. But I would hit Mick really hard. I mean, he would hit me hard too when it was time. But that was like a bowl, like a silver.
serving bowl.
Oh,
my! Billy took a nasty bump over the top rope
like
right
look at
there.
these,
Didn't
look at
land
these
clean.
punches.
Big punches by Foley, landing 3 clean with the right.
Oh.
Knees, hip, and a cookie sheet. And that's one of those moments, the way you're holding your mouth, where it's like, that's not a cell.
No, that really, you hurt me. You hurt me, Mankind.
It's that moment where you lick the lip and you're like, I got a fat lip right now.
Yeah, I think I taste blood.
I'm a fan of the iron taste. I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's like putting a penny in your mouth.
Dog climbs back up on his feet, looks for a rising Foley and knocks him down with the back elbow, follows him to the outside. And Foley brings the fight back. But back to Billy Gunn. I think Billy's going to be able to interfere, stops the suplex attempt, and now both of you guys just start beating the heck out of him.
Oh, the back of my shirt says, oh, yeah. The back
Russian
of my shirt,
leg sweep into the dumpster.
Double into the dumpster, and his head hit so hard. The back of my shirt says place belt here.
There you go.
And points to my
Oh, we got a shirt like that available for sale at boxofgimmicks.com, I feel like.
Sure do. That's where it came from. Place belt. Here, look, Mom. No, got
And
a
here
table.
come the audience's favorite things.
Here comes the table.
The tables.
Setting these tables up and getting them out.
So you're a large man, 6'5", or 6'5", 6'6", what are you?
6'5".
Okay, I'm 5'5", man. Moving those tables around sucks.
They're
dude.
very difficult. And look, you know what the story is? Like I actually thought like I got that
Big
table in there
deal.
really quickly. And so
did.
I don't know if that was a full Dudley table or if it was just a little 6-footer.
I liked Billy's bump on that Beal. He got some air. And
Yeah,
just
he got
took
some.
it.
Look, Billy's an athlete, man. He's got some hops.
Oh, tag team tandem maneuver.
Oh.
Side suplex into the neck breaker.
Yeah, so just cover him, dog. Uno, dos, big kick. Not the
Dros.
Yeah,
A little
Dros.
Dros.
Just Duke the dumpster Drosy. Now we're just getting chairs.
Oh, no.
Now we're just getting chairs and being silly.
Oh, you're going to sit him
This
down.
is, hey, these were some of my favorite gear too.
You got the, I would say, what is
Yeah,
that,
it's
like
like
a
a-
New Mexico
Yeah,
influence?
yeah. It's oh god.
A little turquoise, a little Native American
Yeah,
in there?
yeah. Very cool. Terry, the seamstress, used to really hook me up with those outfits.
Powerbomb through the chairs, nonchalant cover.
What do you mean nonchalant cover?
Nonchalant, I mean, you had your leg crossed. You were in like a relaxed, lazy boy position.
I was laying on him with one leg crossed.
I thought you were going to light up a cigarette and take a couple of puffs right there.
I was going to, but
You seemed to be satisfied. And
Oh,
now
here
the
we go.
title comes in.
here we go.
Oh, Spike Piledriver being set
On
up.
the title.
Oh, crunched his neck. You see it compress and bend.
Yeah.
Folds
And-
himself up, and there you have it.
Here we go. Let's cut the audio back up.
Cut it! Your new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions of the World! The Road Dogg, Jesse James! The Badass Billy Gunn! The New Age Outlaw!
I got to imagine that just gave you goosebumps.
Ever you or anybody else come out here and say that they can beat the Outlaws, now we're putting you in the garbage where you belong.
Come on, guys.
Oh,
I
Billy's
think
just
enough is
dragging him
enough.
by
But
his
what do you
hair.
think, King? I just wonder what
Dragging
Mr. McMahon
Foley to the
thinks.
outside,
Look at
hoisting
Billy's
him
gonna
onto
squat him.
Billy's
Mr. McMahon
shoulders,
these days. Oh, look at this.
and throws him into the trash. Basura!
I don't know what that means, but get in the trash can.
Trivia notes, this was Billy's 6th reign as WWF Tag
Yeah.
Team Champion, which was an all-time record for the promotion. Previous record was 5, held by both Mike Rotunda and Tony Gurria.
I was the king of getting up on the top rope after the match, like and getting my crap in. Oh God, where'd Kane come from? He's been in there the whole time. Oh
Kane
God,
has a sledge.
he has a sledgehammer. What's he gonna do? Oh, he's just
like
gonna
a
kill
mortar
man.
and
Oh, he
pestle.
just killed a man. Kane just killed a man with a trident.
He Gallagher'd him.
Yeah, he did. It looks like a watermelon exploded in the bottom of that. Look, we just ran.
You don't want any part of that.
No, not part of Kane. But you notice like that was set up nicely. We talked about how to execute like he had some stuff in there that looked good, that was violent and aggressive and looked like he was taking on two guys. But then talking about construction, we started out with fight. So we ended with the promo. You know what I mean? And it gave him an opportunity to say all that. I thought it was well done.
Dog, the critical analysis was that this match didn't work on many levels. As mentioned before, a match with Foley at this stage has such high expectations that it sometimes could be difficult to live up to.
Yeah.
The thought was from our friends at the Sheets, the psychology was all screwed up because all the antics earlier in the show, from his car being destroyed to him wanting to just leave rather than wrestle, but being talked into it by a manipulative Mr. McMahon, and talking about him hitchhiking to MSG back all those years ago for the Morocco Snuka match. It made him a sympathetic character, particularly going 1 against 2. However, the Outlaws are baby faces, so the crowd wasn't reacting as much as they should have, so to speak.
I get that.
Mankind gets his head smashed into the dumpster hard a few times, took hard shots to the head with the pans, blah, blah, blah.
Hey, we took some hard shots too. But yeah, look, it is what it is, right? We were doing some storytelling. They were going off on to bigger, better things. It was a stopgap to put the titles back on us and to put some more fire on Kane and Mankind. So I thought it worked. You can
Absolutely.
Look, you can criticize it all you want to, but I just want you to know it's a lot easier to sit out there and criticize than it is to sit in here and create.
But you felt good about the match after?
Yeah, heck yeah. Look, it was aggressive. Like, I thought that we scrapped. You know what I mean? I was hitting him and he was hitting me, and Billy was doing the same. Billy always did. But I liked it. We gave them what they wanted at the end, the new champs. I don't know. Look, you can critique it if you want to, and I understand that. There are legitimate critiques out there, but it is what it is, right? It's wrestling. We are the masters of our own destiny. We've said it before. We'll say it again.
Before we get into your final opinions on the match and get into some fan questions, let's hear from our latest sponsor, IWTV.com. That's a little loud. I may have to bring that down a little bit.
I don't know. I like it, though.
I mean, that was pretty intense, though. So let me just do a little fix right here, just so it doesn't overpower the read right there. There we go. IWTV.live. I said .com. .live. Let's do this. IWTV.live is independent wrestling's premier streaming service for live events and video on demand of past events. For just $10 a month, IWTV.live offers 20-plus events streamed live each month from top independent wrestling promotions such as ICW No Holds Barred, West Coast Pro, and Limitless Wrestling. Additionally, as an IWTV.live subscriber, you have immediate access to their extensive library of over 13,000 hours of video-on-demand content from over 300 independent wrestling promotions from around the world, including Beyond Wrestling, Prestige Wrestling, Absolute Intense Wrestling, and H2O. Their extensive library features wrestling superstars such as Orange Cassidy, Jonathan Gresham, Masha Slamovich, Wheeler Yuta, and Eddie Kingston. You can watch IWTV.live anytime, anywhere. IWTV.live is available on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV Stick, including mobile apps for Apple and Android devices. No long-term contracts required. Go to IWTV.live and subscribe today for just $10 a month.
You know what I love about that is no contract. You know what I mean? You just pay $10 a month, and that's what they wanted to do with the WWE Network, was make it a one-stop shop for all things wrestling, and that's what it feels like. These guys have kind of got their finger on that pulse, and so I'm excited about them being a sponsor, and I'm excited about being able to utilize their app there.
You could look at archive footage of top superstars of today before they were stars, and then you could also look at the guys of today before they are stars of tomorrow. IWTV.live. Thanks for coming on board.
Yes, thank you guys very much.
Know.
And if you have that footage of me wrestling nude, let's not
send it to them.
For the viewers' sake, let's not air that.
You can tweet me, and we'll pass that privately.
You can play with my tweeter.
Slip into Dog's DMs and get...
What?
No, don't.
What?
Don't do that. That's how we get into trouble, and then we're done. All right, Dog, let's get back to this. What did you think of the match? You said you liked it, you felt good, you worked stiff, and you put on a show.
Yeah, and look, that's what we did. We slid the dumpster out there. We cut a little promo on the way. Not long because of that entranceway. We started fighting right away. We got into it. We got out of it pretty quick. Mission accomplished. Tag titles back on us. Mick and Mankind and Kane storyline continued at the end of it. He Gallaghered him with the sledgehammer, and he wasn't even wearing a poncho. And so... Look, I got no complaints about it. If you want to sit back and criticize it, go ahead. If that makes you feel good. But I don't know. I got no critiques for it. I liked it.
This is Mick's first gimmick match on pay-per-view after Hell in a Cell, and it's so difficult to follow, I'm sure. Did you guys have any sort of discussion of... I'm sure he's a guy who likes to outdo himself all the time.
Well, look, there was no outdoing himself after the Hell in a Cell. There was no way to top that. So we started from there. We're not topping that. Let's not try. You know what I mean? And let's not fool ourselves into thinking we can. Let's just go out there and have a hard-hitting, hard-fighting match and get the titles off of you. Look, it wasn't perfect to
So he
begin
never
with,
came
right?
at you with a moment of, hey, I'm going to climb to the top and you're going to push me off and I'm going to take the dumpster from there.
No. We never talked about that because, look, he'd also just come off of the Hell in a Cell match.
Right.
So he's... while he's cleared to continue and work, he's not in the best shape of his life. He fell from 3 stories high. But so look, we wanted to take it easy. Mission accomplished. Tag titles back on the New Age Outlaws. Mankind and Kane. Story rolls on.
Later on that night, Triple H defeated Rocky in just under 30 minutes in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. What did you think of that, or do you remember that match?
So I don't remember it per se, and the only reason I don't is because we were probably putting ours together or getting ready. I watched it since then, though. I've seen it a couple of times. They had a great ladder match. But look, you're also trying to follow ladder matches that were before you, which is the Shawn and the Razor and, some of those that were really good. So you got a hard act to follow, and so you got to try to be different and just how I'm not going to attack it like Shawn would because Shawn is better than me. So he can do things that I cannot do. So how am I going to attack it? What would the Road Dogg do? What would Hunter or Helmsley do? What would The Rock do? You know what I mean? So trying to set up those matches and follow those big iconic matches is always difficult.
With H
and you're never going to do it. So.
With H getting pretty banged up, how bad was Hunter hurting after this match? Was this just the tip of the iceberg with his knee injury, do you remember? Or was it something that happened in the match?
The knee had been an ongoing thing, and, you can kind of live with it and get some Toradol shots here and there, maybe injections in the knee, some fluid put back in there. But it's... Once it goes bad, like, okay, eventually I'm going to have to get this fixed. And that was kind of where he was at. But yeah, he got banged up on that a lot because that's Hunter. That's his work ethic. It's a hard act to follow, Shawn and Razor. Okay, well, I'm going to try. You know what I mean? And that was his mentality. And so, yeah, he took some crazy bumps. He got banged up. Those ladders aren't very forgiving either. Just like we talked about those blue steel cages.
Yeah.
Those ladders, man, they are no joke.
There's a great Twitter thread that came out after the pay-per-view, after Money in the Bank a couple of weeks ago, of a woman who's not a wrestling fan. I'm assuming she just saw the advertisement on Peacock, so she has this thread of, I'm just going to watch it, and she comments on the whole match. And she's like, they're just using Home Depot ladders. And it's this amazing commentary from someone that isn't a fan, that appreciated the carnage of what they were going through. But put it in this perspective of clean, clear lenses that just made you look at the entertainment aspect and then sit and go, this is why we do it. It entertains people. And if people that don't know that they're fans give themselves an opportunity to go along for the ride, they may in fact become a fan right after.
I agree. And even if they don't become a fan, they have a greater respect for the talent and what they're willing to put their bodies through,
When you look at everything and you go back on that match and the era of all of this, what does it all mean to you looking back?
Well, not a damn thing. I'm just kidding. No, it's my short-lived legacy in this industry, and I think I went on to do some different things to ensure that I at least have one. But this was the cementing of me chasing my dream, and this is me getting my hands on my dream and seeing it come to pass. You know what I mean? Like that's what I remember out of it, because we watch it back and we go, wow, this was a great time in professional wrestling, and I was on top of the heap, if not tip top, right near the snow caps. Yeah, it was a great opportunity that I was given. I'd like to think I took advantage of it, and I'd like to think I hit at least a triple. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I wish I wasn't addicted to drugs at the time. I wish I would have seen what the Road Dogg character could have done if I would have been level-headed, and how far I could have gone. Because I was selling merch pretty good as an individual guy when all this passed. What could I have done had I been sober? You know what I mean? But look, this was a time in my life that I will cherish forever.
This is great. We got some really poignant thoughts, broke down the match and the build-up, and now we're going to get to the fan questions. But before we do, I just want to remind everyone that as we end the show, don't forget to save with Conrad, and don't forget to protect your family, your loved ones with Goliath Life.
If you could change one thing about your home, what would it be? A new kitchen, a new master bath, maybe put in a pool. What if you could do it with no money out of pocket and cheaper monthly payments? SaveWithConrad.com can help, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. NMLS number 65084, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com. Psst, who's going to take care of your family if something happens to you? What would they do without your income? If you don't have a plan, you need to go to GoliathLife.com. Get a quick quote for more than 20 carriers. You don't even have to leave the house. If you need a medical exam, they'll send somebody to your house or office. You're in total control. You pick the rates, you pick the payments, you pick the terms. You're in total control, but it gives you and your family peace of mind. What if something happens to your income? Hurry to GoliathLife.com.
But let's get to some fan questions, dog, because Austin Williams has a question for you.
Hey, Dubs.
It goes like this. When you looked at this match on the card, do you feel like, or did you feel like this was going to knock it out of the park when you first seen it? So thus the handicap match.
The handicap match. No. I mean, I didn't think we were going to hit it out of the park, but I think I thought we were going to get a good piece of business done. And I think we did. But no, it's we do the best we can with a handicap match, you know what I mean? And yes, we're going to beat the guy because there's 2 of us and we're using weapons and all that, but how can we make it competitive? That was the biggest thing to me, is let's make this competitive and not just we just kill the guy, you know? So that was the challenge for me. I did not think it would be a 5-star match. I never, one time ever in my career, and if I did, please run me over with a car. Have I ever thought, we're going to go out and have a 5-star match? No, I just had to try. I just tried to have the best match I could have and entertain the people and make a connection with them, all while doing that, you know?
Drangone Sleeper Johnny, a.k.a. Johnny V. the Heel, says, chat me up about Insane Clown Posse being there.
Whoa. Yeah, they were, so Insane Clown Posse were there. And there was an interesting time where us and the Headbangers and Insane Clown Posse were going to get in a fight in the alleyway. And then me and Billy were supposed to run out and beat them all up. And by the time me and Billy got out there, Mosh and Thrasher were shooting on the Insane Clown Posse and beating them up. And so we got out there and we just stood there and watched them beat them up.
So that seems to be a regular for ICP, because
they get beat up a lot.
Yeah, when they were in XPW, there's a moment, Pogo the Clown, who's a 450-pound clown who was known for a crazy lariat-style clothesline. Yeah. He hit Shaggy 2 Dope with the clothesline. They sell to the outside, go back, grabbed their bags, and left. Didn't even get paid for the show. They just took off at XPW.
Yeah, they got to look. So I've worked with them since then, and I actually had a good relationship with those guys. Man, look, me and Billy never had a problem with them. You know what I mean? It was.
They were always enthusiastic, had a lot of fun, wanted to be there.
We worked with them. I worked with them at the Gathering one year.
Yep.
Okay, so here's my Gathering story. First Gathering I went to, Active Addiction. Don't remember much of it. Got some scars to prove it. Heard I had a great time. Second time I went, me and Billy went together. We were both sober. The most terrifying event I've ever been involved with in my life. Like it was, we didn't wrestle till 4 a.m. We wrestled like X-Pac and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall was on the outside. And like, it was just like, oh man, let's get out of here. It was terrifying.
Tell me the story of when you butt chugged the 2-liter of Faygo.
Which story? Which story? And I'll tell you what, Thunder Mountain is better than the Faygo.
All right. Dylan Leahy wants to know, what was Dog's opinion on the pairing of Mankind and Kane? What did you think of that tag team?
Look, I thought it was awesome. I liked both the gentlemen, the human beings. I liked both their characters. I loved their work. I loved working with them. Glenn is a night off, and Mankind brought it a little bit, and so we were bringing it a little bit too. It made Glenn kind of get hop on his horse a little bit too. But I love the team. What a team! Kane and Mankind. You know what I mean? That's pretty. And we didn't beat that team, but we beat one of them and won the titles back. You know, they were an awesome supernatural tag team.
Michael Cohen has a great question here. I like this one. Backstage, what was the atmosphere like for the boys in the hair versus hair match with Jarrett and X-Pac? Since you're good friends with both Jeff and Sean, who did you want to see win and who did you want to see lose their hair?
Well, I would love to have seen X-Pac lose his hair just so I could see him bald, because I don't know what he would. I don't know what he would like. I don't know. He looks great now, and he's kind of has that slick back look and bald on the sides, and I think he looks great. So yeah, he's got a decent looking head. I think it was more appropriate the guy that won the match and got it, and shaved Jeff's head. And like we talked about earlier, Jeff needed that makeover. He needed to find another to reinvent himself, and he did after this hair versus hair match.
Canada's Greatest Athlete asks, I've always felt this was the event WWF started really hitting its stride with a young undercard and big stars really hitting their stride. What was the feeling around the locker room like at this point?
Well, it was awesome because everybody was running and gunning and trying to do the best they could, and everybody was hungry, and everybody had a spot, whether it be a small one or a big one. Everybody was doing something, it seemed like, and we were just helping each other. And it was about, hey, how can I? And look, when you get to that upper tier, you start to see people being a little selfish, and rightfully so. You got to protect yourself if you're that top tier talent. But for the most part, it was guys working with guys and trying to get over and trying to get them over and making sure you get your stuff in and I get my stuff in. And you know what I mean? Like we were a team. And I believe that's why we beat WCW, because we were a team. Mm-hmm. And WCW was splintered at the time.
All right. I want to shout out Robert Hughes for giving us a 5-star review on Apple, Christopher Downs and Johan Pena for their endless support, and Jeff the Future Jaros for his comments and for sharing of the podcast. You guys are just some of the many people entered in our drawing for an autographed Road Dogg 8x10, and we'll be announcing the winner in next week's episode. So enter yourself by sharing a picture of you leaving a 5-star review or by spreading the word to your social media followers. And Dog, I've got one more.
This is the first time I've ever given a crap about 5 stars. Thank you.
I like it. I've got one more fan letter for you. But next week, we're going to be discussing Raw 1000 and the DX reunion.
Oh, I got a good story for that. I'm not going to tell you yet, but I got a good one.
We'll also discuss the legacy of DX with the Raw brand, Damian Sandow, and what it felt like to be in the ring with all of the guys again.
Yeah, it's going to be fun next week. You know what we should do is get some fan questions for next week.
It's a great idea.
And maybe we could answer them on the air or something.
I think that's even a better idea.
We could do that.
All right,
we could
finally.
do that. So 1998, this is post SummerSlam, New Age Outlaws, WWF Tag Team Champions of the World, and I don't know who our next challengers are.
You just saying that though. listening to the crowd after I brought that up, the goosebumps. I'm not you. I'm watching it, and you hear that crowd light up after that match, and it makes me feel something as a fan. You're sitting here watching it. It's you. That's got to just bring back a rush of emotion.
Yes, it feels funny down there.
All right.
No,
Finally,
it is.
Doug.
Look, it is, and I do love when I like doing that and hearing the people do it with me. It makes me feel really good.
All right. Finally, this isn't a question, but I received a message from someone named MJ Fredrickson, and he asked me to share this with you.
Wait, MJF?
MJ Fredrickson.
Okay.
It does sound that way. He says, "Hi, forgive the intrusion, but I was hoping you could read this to Road Dogg, as it's a story of how he saved my life. 2 years ago, I had a failed suicide attempt and was contemplating another try. I had on the WWE Network, and Legends with JBL was on with Brian. The way he spoke about his problems helped me so much. As a creative person, he explained things in a way I related to. 2 months later, I released my first book, The Tommy and His Mate, a poetry book primarily about mental health and armed forces. And today, he signed a contract writing for a wrestling magazine. Without hearing Road Dogg, I know I would have had another attempt at my life, so I want to say thank you."
I don't know what to say to that, man. I thought this was going to be like a fun
You
thing I was going
expected
to
the
sing
jingle
to,
and-
yeah. Look, I thank God in heaven above for you, for you coming on, telling your story, and the fact that I could help you. Like I have, that's not me, man. This is my beliefs, and if you don't believe this way, I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm just telling you what I believe. I believe God uses people in people's lives, and I believe he used me in yours, and I know people were used in mine. And I thank God for using me in your life, and I'm so thankful that you're still alive today, and I don't know what else to say, but thank you, and God bless you, man.
Thank you, Road Dogg. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you, listeners. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.